Hey there, Lake Grove Church. Pastor Mark McElraith here, and this is December 29th, and we are looking at page number 289 of the Reservoir devotion. If you haven't had a chance to read that devotion, I encourage you to stop the video here and then go read that devotion, and then come on back and join us. Well, today's text is Acts 10, verses 1 through 4. And it's the title of the devotion is called Be Like Cornelius. As you've seen, if you've read that text, you'll see it describes Cornelius, whom God responds to. And so I'm going to read that, just those 4 verses right now. And as I read it, listen to the way Scripture describes Cornelius. It says this: In Caesarea, there was a man named Cornelius, a centurion of the Italian court, as it was called. He was a devout man who feared God with all his household. He gave alms generously to the people and prayed constantly to God. One afternoon at about 3 o'clock, he had a vision in which he clearly saw an angel of God coming in and saying to him, "Cornelius." He stared at him in terror and said, "What is it, Lord?" He answered, "Your prayers and your alms have ascended as a memorial before God." And of course, the story goes on. But did you notice how Cornelius was described in that text? There are 4 kind of dimensions of Cornelius listed in our text. Cornelius, as the Reservoir points out, was a devout man who feared God and gave alms generously and prayed constantly. 4 things. 4 things that describe Cornelius as one who loved God. And so here's how we can articulate those 4 indicators, those 4 dimensions in our own language. We might say, as the Reservoir points out, devotion, reverence, that's the God-fearing piece there, generosity, and prayer. Devotion, reverence, generosity, and prayer. I don't know about you, but those 4 things, each one of those hits me a little differently. How about you? I'm going to read those again and really, I can just describe each one. Devotion, that's that loyalty and commitment to the God rhythms in our lives, meaning things like devotional reading, worship, fellowship, learning, even things like saying grace at meals. That's that devotional rhythm of life, or I like to say the God rhythms in our lives. That's that devotion. The next one is reverence, referred in Scripture as God-fearing. But reverence, that's the awe of God in our minds and in our hearts. The mind-blowing expansiveness of who God is, understanding that and sensing God's presence alongside us, opening ourselves up, I should say, to experience and respond to God's presence. That's reverence. The third one there, generosity. That's the eagerness, just true eagerness to share our resources with others and with God. It's sort of holding our own resources loosely, eager to give them away, which actually brings such joy, doesn't it? That's generosity. And of course, the 4th one is prayer. Spending that personal time with God, talking with God, listening to God. I think sometimes that's the one we forget, is that listening part of prayer, listening to God in prayer, being still to hear God's voice. So devotion, reverence, generosity, and prayer. Of those 4, which is the hardest for you to do? Or the one that takes most effort for you to do? Devotion, reverence, generosity, prayer? Now think about this. Of those 4 elements, which is the most natural for you? Which is the one that just flows out of you? Is it devotion, reverence, generosity, or prayer? Of those, maybe take some time just to thank God that of the one that is the most natural for you. Thank God for that. That is God's gift to you to be able to live in that. And then the one that's maybe the most difficult for you, maybe pray that God would help deepen your life there so that you could have an even more rich relationship with God. That's a way that God can help enrich your life, to enjoy the one even more that comes most naturally, and to grow in the one that you might need more growth in. So as we end this video, take some time to think about those 4 dimensions: devotion, reverence, generosity, and prayer. Let's take some time to do that now. All right? Have a great day.